Hello, I'm back. So, I think we're all set up correctly now. Let me just double check that. Alright, I think we are good to go. So, today, as promised, the new shirt with all the pintucks. I ran through the design at the end of last week's stream, but for the people who weren't there, let me just show you the design. Oh, actually. Hey! Welcome back, Yukimiko. Actually, first, before I show you the design, I have something... Well, I find it exciting. I'm not sure you find it exciting. I was at a flea market yesterday, and there was someone selling fabrics. And, well, you know how that goes. It looked pretty nice. It's a very subtle... It's not quite black, it's maybe anthracite, and there's a very subtle pinstripe in it. It looked like wool, it felt like wool. I wasn't sure it was wool, but there's 5 or 6 meters of this. Like, it's a lot. And the whole thing costs €12.50 in euros. So, at that point, I don't care if it's not wool. I bought it, I took it home, I did some testing, and I'm pretty convinced it's wool. So I have now bought a crap ton of this beautiful pinstripe fabric, and hopefully this will help me get over my anxiety of making jackets with like horsehair canvas and pad stitching and all that crap. Because now, at least if I ruin it, it's not expensive material. And if I do succeed, it does look really nice. So I need to do some testing how it holds up in the laundry. I'm going to just throw some swatches in and see whether I'll be able to wash any pants that I might make out of this. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for this find. And I don't know, maybe it'll be on the channel at some point. Anyway, on to today's business. It is the Pintuck Shirt, which you can also see, I guess, the sketch in the corner. But I just want to point at some things. The plan is as follows. Beep. There we go. So we've got a shirt with Raglan Sleeves, which is something I haven't done before, but hey, I googled the tutorials, so what can go wrong, right? And then instead of the front darts, there will be a number of pin tucks. I am keeping the bust darts, but they're coming in from the side. Oh yeah, it was definitely my lucky day. There were other like good fabrics there. I think it was maybe an old seamstress de-stashing or something. There was good stuff there, and I'm proud of myself for only buying one. Really, like. So yeah, figuring out Raglan Sleeves. I think I know what I'm doing. And then make the whole big spoofy sleeve thing and the large cuffs. And the collar. So there's plenty of stuff to do. I've already started tracing the pattern, like my base pattern, a bit. Like I've traced the back panel, I just need to trace the front and the sleeve, and then we can get cutting and pasting to make the raglan sleeves, which I will explain at that point in time. But first I must trace my front panel still. So let's get underway with that. I've just got pattern paper and my base pattern underneath. And I'm trying to make it all sit on the table nicely. So I'm just gonna tape it down and weigh it down until it behaves, I suppose. I'm gonna try to tape it both to the table and to the other piece of paper, so none of it moves. Oh, also, I'm not sure if you remember last week we talked about my my seam guide thingy, like this thing, about how it was bent out of shape. I wrapped it around a glass, trying to bend it the other way for like 3 days, and it helped a bit. But as I've taken it off, it's already coming back into its original curve, so I think it's just a lost cause at this point. I'm tracing with pen. Normally I would probably trace with pencil, but it makes it a bit easier for you to see what I'm doing. So what's going on with that? I'm gonna mark it until the hip line, but maybe the shirt's gonna be, I think hip line actually is fine, is a fine length for it. And so let's see if I can trace it in such a way that I've already moved the bust dart, or should I? Nah, I'll just trace it as it is, and then I'll move it so you can see how I move it. I guess that makes more sense. But I'm just marking some corners so I can use a ruler to like trace the rest. That'll be a lot faster than trying to trace straight lines. There we go. Alright, so the hip curve is something I cannot do with a ruler. It's a little bit off camera, but you'll have to trust me. I can't meaningfully fit everything under the camera. Oh, and I gotta make sure that in the armholes I also mark the notches for the sleeves. Because we're gonna have to do some messing with the sleeves. Make them big and poofy and also raglan, so that should be fun. This is the sleeve point. Okay, I think the rest I can do with a ruler. Where is it? Oh no, I've still got the neckline. And we'll have to close up this dart going through the shoulder because we need to cut that part off to make the raglan sleeve. And also my design had the bust dart coming from the side anyway, so multiple reasons not to do this. But we'll cut that up in a second. I also will need to close the shoulder dart on the back panel, so. Is this pen already stopped working? No! Oh, there's also a bunch of dust or something on it. I need you to work, pen. Don't let me down like this. I guess that's that's it for the pen. Let me just try to trace the bottom here, and then I'll throw it out and get another one. Okay, bye. I've got another blue pen. It's fine. So, I'm still gonna mark the waistline before cutting this all open. And then I think I've got everything. Oh, and this. I missed a line. Here, and waist. Waist goes here. Okay, so let's peel this off of the table again. And try to keep the original in good shape, because hopefully I'm going to use it many more times. Out. I might have enough left for the sleeve in this piece, so that's nice. But I'm going to worry about the sleeves later. I notice it's still quite hard to see the markings on camera. I guess it's because the pen was pretty much empty. I hope that the other piece will be better. Is there anything I can do about that? I'm gonna just trace these a bit extra with the new pen. That will hopefully keep working. And the center front. Oh, look. Meh. Nah, it's not really better, is it? Oh well, it'll have to do. So, I'm gonna first move the bust dart to the side. And it's usually nice if it's actually not all the way to the dart, if that makes any sense. I'll show you a sort of sample for it, if I've got it. So this is a scaled down version of what I'm going to do. So I've got the original bust dart, and I'm going to just cut from the side towards the same point and shut it. But then I'm going to shorten this by about 2-3 centimeters, like from here to there, because it tends to look a bit nicer if it's not that extreme. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut this open to about, I don't know, here. This I'm just eyeballing how far down the side seam it is, honestly. Yeah, it does look a bit like a bullet bra if it goes right through through the, like, in general, it looks a bit nicer if the bust seam is a little bit to the outside of the bust itself anyways. Because otherwise it looks quite pointy. So I'm gonna cut along one side of the original dart. And I'm gonna cut along the new one. And then through the magic of tape, through the magic of tape, we're gonna close it up like that. There we go. Maybe add a little bit more on the bottom. Oh, and I'm using masking tape, by the way, because it behaves a lot like paper. You can draw on it the same way. You can iron it and it won't shrink and warp and everything like that. So, now, also let's straighten out this shoulder seam because there's a little dent in it. I'm not sure if it's gonna matter because this is probably also gonna get damaged in the Raglan sleeve project, but I better do it. So now I'm gonna tape a little bit extra paper in here to shorten it if I've got a little piece of extra paper. It's not quite enough, is it? Let's see what else I've got. I like using scraps for that sort of thing because, you know. There. Reuse all the things. So remember, I'm not gonna close it all the way it looks right now. I'm just gonna shorten it a bit from here, so. Just gotta make sure it's attached around the edges. I think it's better if I tape this from the back, actually. Because this is a piece of paper that will definitely stay. And the rest I'm gonna cut off very narrowly, so. So then we sort of split it in half and go in by a little bit like this. And that is now the new bust dart. Okay, that's one. I also need to do something with the dart here, because that needs to be turned into a bunch of, what was it? Pintucks. So, I've currently got 2.5 centimeters of dart there. And I'm thinking that every pintuck could eat up about 3 millimeters of fabric. Like if you think about it, if you fold it in half, stitch it 1.5 millimeters from the side, it ends up using up 3 millimeters in total, but maybe a bit more just because it'll curve and fold and stuff. So maybe I need to just make a test piece to see whether that actually makes sense or whether I should do 2 millimeters, how much I actually lose. I'm not sure. So maybe I should experiment with that a little bit before I draw them in. Let's do that. So I know for sure how much I can get rid of on every pintuck. So this is the fabric that it's gonna be. Let me just check how much I have and how much I can afford to like experiment with. I think it's this is entirely folded in half, yes. 1, 2, 3. Where's what? This can't be 3. It has to be either 2 or 4. What's going on? This is folded weirdly. This is the other edge is here. Yeah. So I've got 4 times this length, which is about, so I bought 2 meters, which got pretty sizable sleeves, right? So that's potentially an issue. I mean, the 2 meters should be enough. How long is the back? Let's see. The panels are about 70 tall. The sleeve is about 60 tall. So stacked on top of each other, it's about 130. So I should have 70 centimeters left over if I stack everything on top of each other. So I can afford to cut some like 10 centimeters off just to experiment with. Yeah, that checks out. That checks out. So I'm just gonna cut a little strip. So I'm gonna mark exactly 10 centimeters wide on it. And then I'm gonna stitch some pin tucks into it and see where I end up. Let's see, from the selvage to here is exactly 10. So let's get the sewing machine out and see where this goes. I'm gonna need some black thread. Hey, cheerful something. Welcome back. I just started doing some experiments to see exactly how much fabric width my pin tucks are going to eat up. I don't think I'm going to try marking a 3 millimeter wide line because the width of the line is going to just throw it off. So I'm going to just fold it in half and stitch along some marking of my sewing machine to be determined and see exactly how much width I lose by doing that. It seems like a good way of preserving my sanity. You drape it and make the patterns from that. The original plan was to have 5 pin tucks, assuming that they would each eat 3 millimeters, which would be equivalent to a dart of then 1.5 centimeters. And I would move the remaining centimeter of dart that I have to the side. But I want to make sure that that's actually what it does when I stitch it. Because I would rather figure out what happens when I do it and then go back to the pattern from there. So I have a little transparent mark on the foot that I'm going to use as a guide here for experiment number 1. I think it's a bit narrow, but let's see how it goes. So that's one. It looks fairly nice. It's a good width, actually. I'm gonna do 2 or 3, just so I don't have as much error in my measurements, if that makes sense. If you do only 1, then even measuring slightly off can really throw off the math. So I'm just doing 3, so it averages out a little bit. Somewhere over here. So I'm stitching them on 1.5, so the whole thing will take out 3 millimeters. If that makes sense. So the tucks are now 1.5 centimeters tall, which means that, well, at least they are whatever that line on my sewing machine is tall. And the dart that I'm trying to... The area that I'm trying to reduce is 2.5 centimeters of dart. So actually this amount is already 2 millimeters tall. So it would eat up 4 millimeters per dart. Well, let's see if that's actually what's actually happening. If I put this flat on the table, maybe I need to iron this a little bit. Let's give it a quick press to get accurate measurements. We're gonna let that heat up for a bit. But actually... Oh no, I'm not doing them back to back, sorry. I'm spacing them apart a little bit. What else have I got? I've got my back panel. While my iron is heating up, let's deal with that. First things first is this has got to be closed, because we need to cut this off to make the raglan sleeve. And then also, I think I'm going to keep this dart actually. I think having the Pintucks on the back would look a bit weird. I'm not sure. But let's start with closing this up. I'm going to just draw. I'm going to do something clever that I saw someone do on the internet, which I'm not sure I've got that open on my screen. Yes, I do. All right, let me show you what I found. I found this sort of tutorial on Raglan Sleeves, and you see what they're cutting a part of the front and the back panel off and taping it to the top of the sleeve. But also here, on the back panel, you see that they've got the dart going right up against the cutting line for the raglan sleeve, which means that once you're done cutting that piece off, you can just fold it back and it will be straight again. So it's like you've temporarily moved the dart to the back, but in reality, it's going to end up here along the cut line once you're entirely done. So I thought that was pretty clever. So I'm going to do, I'm going to move it to the center back. I'm going to open it up to see how much it is. But then I want to creatively move it around so that it falls right onto the edge of my raglan cut. Because I think that is clever. So I'm gonna just go right to the side, or actually to the back, I suppose. And move that up. Oops, don't move, don't move. That goes here. And so then once I cut the raglan part off, I'm going to either go right over this point, or I'm going to go somewhere slightly above it and then move this point up a little bit so that when this part has been cut off, I can just close up the remaining piece. And that will make the entire dart disappear. So, I think I'm good to press this. Yes. Theory, I should press them all towards the same side, but meh. Yeah. It's lying a bit more flat now. So let's measure. Got the line that you can't really see on camera, can you? Where's my ruler? So this was 10 centimeters before I started. If I think happened what happened, we should have lost 1.2 of it. Ooh, it actually lost more. This is now 8.3-ish centimeters. 8.4? It's a bit depending on where you measure. So that means we lost 1.6, 1.7 on three Pintucks. So if it would be 1.8, that would be 6 millimeters each, but it's a little bit less. Let's say it's, yeah, if it's 5, it's a little bit more than 5, a little bit less than 6. I'm gonna use 5 because it's easier to do math with. But that means that if I put all of my 5 planned pin tucks into the front panel, I've actually completely gotten rid of my 2.5 centimeter dart, which is great news. So let's place those now that we have this information. It might actually take out a bit too much. So if it's 5.5 millimeters per thing, which I think that's correct, 5.5. So if I put 5 in, I lose math, jeez. So I would lose 2.5, but it's actually 0.5 millimeter more each. So 5 times 0.5 is another 2.5 millimeters. That's not a lot. But theoretically, there's 2.5 millimeters more that I lose that I shouldn't lose. That I think I'm gonna just put a tiny amount back onto the side seam. And maybe actually I should put a little bit more on the side seam because I don't plan on making this open all the way down to the bottom. So if I want to put it on over my head, I need a little bit of extra space, theoretically. Could I do that? That's a good point. Could I just pleat it first and then check where I am? That, I think not entirely, because I would have to sort of hold the pattern like this. Well, I would have to fold over the pattern a little bit to make the, What I could do is just check the total width, because it won't be entirely the same shape, because it won't be flat anymore once I put them in. But I can double check the waist measurement once I'm done making them. That makes sense. I am going to make a bet though, and I'm going to draw it in to what I think should fit. And then if it does, I will feel very justified. So let's, yeah. I'm going to do the math and hope it checks out. And if it does, I will feel very good about myself. And if it doesn't, I will still just physically check what we're doing. I'm just adding a little bit to the side. And then here, I'm gonna just mark each of them. I'm gonna take a different color because this is getting too confusing. The red will be what I'm actually gonna cut. So I want to do them different lengths. I want to do like a tall one in the middle, then a slightly shorter one, then a taller one. Then a shorter one? No. I think I want to do 2 tall ones and 3 short ones. So I will put the short one in the middle, and then put 2 tall ones, and then put 2 short ones. I hope any of that makes sense. So, how tall is tall? I feel that it should go under the bust. Because the only reason this dart goes all the way up to the bust is so you can make a nice continuous line. It doesn't have to go that tall. Where is my bust line on my original? It's probably here-ish, along this here. I'm gonna make the tall one. Woo! I'm gonna make the tall one. No, wait, wow. Short one goes in the middle, which will be 32 centimeters? 32. Let's see how, oh wait, actually. How high up from the waist is this, and can I just measure that on myself? That would make sense. That's 12 centimeters up from the waist, which on my own body is, let's see, if my waistline is about there-ish, would go up to there. Actually right under, it's like on the edge of my bra. I think it's a fairly good spot for it to be, but maybe it could even be a little bit lower. Because I don't want it to like poof out massively on my boob. I want it to be a little bit more subtle. So maybe I'll make this a little bit shorter. Make this like 12 and then go down almost all the way to here. Now here we're at 25. Am I reading that correctly? Alright, and then how wide am I gonna make this? How far apart did I put my sample? It's quite hard to see with the black fabric, I suppose, but I think this is a little bit far apart. I want to put them a little bit closer. And this is about a few centimeters apart. Keeping in mind that it's also eating up 5 millimeters of fabric each, I'm going to put them 1.5 centimeters apart on the pattern, which means they will end up approximately 1 centimeter apart on the final thing. I think that checks out. This is going to be a taller one. It's going to go 1 centimeter longer in each direction. And then make a shorter one again. And then also make some of these going towards the front. Welcome to today's episode of Making It Up As I Go Along. This red pen is also not really, like, they can't all be empty. Maybe it's just the paper leaching out the ink so hard. Because I feel like all of these pens are just dying on me right now. And this is going to be another short one. And there we go. Okay. I think that was Pintuck Adventure number 1. Let's just cut this out a little bit more neatly. Because I'm gonna need the top portion to do the sleeve magic. I'm gonna be a little bit neat about doing this. Okay, let's move on to the back, where I'm gonna do that same little bit extra on the waistline, I think. And here I don't think I'm going to do anything with pin tucks. I just need to cut out the top neatly so I can start doing the sleeve stuff. Oh, I also still need to trace the sleeve, so that'll be fun. And let's just trace this from the front so I know that I've got the same shape everywhere. Oh. It would help if I actually cut it out first. Okie dokie. So let's line this up with the front side seam. Oh wait, I cut it open, so it's a bit different now. That makes sense. Wait, it was already, there was a kind of weird dent there that wasn't there before. Maybe I just kind of sucked at drawing this curve when I did the original, because this is definitely not the same. It ends up in the same point, it's just less curvy. Just draw the curvy version. Seems fine. And I think that means I'm ready to start cutting this out. Whoops. So, I'm wondering about something with the grain lines, because I was watching tutorial videos earlier for how to do raglan sleeves, and they're making really sure that they mark their grain lines on the pieces that they cut off the top, and I don't think it makes sense. Because it ends up attached to the sleeve, which has its own grain line. You end up with like 3 conflicting grain lines, of which I think only the one that runs like straight up and down the sleeve is correct. So I'm not really sure why they did that. Okay. I think that's it for the front and back panels. So I'm going to just quickly trace the sleeve, and then Raglan sleeve magic is hopefully going to happen if I did my prep correctly. So let's get this stuff out of the way. And then I've got a sleeve base right here. And I've got some extra paper right here. I'll show you. To be consistent, let's face all the paper the same way. I'm gonna not cut out the entirety of the sleeve yet, because I also want to make it a lot wider than the original pattern is. So I'm gonna just trace it and only sort of cut out the top or something like that. Let's put some weights on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to tape it down or not. But basically I'm going to treat the sleeve as it is right now as more like guidelines anyway, because there is a lot of stuff that's going to happen with it. Going to be changed into a raglan sleeve. It's gonna be widened a lot at the bottom, which I will show you something. The way that they're doing these sleeves is by adding a little dart to the top of the sleeve and then attaching these sort of shoulder pieces to it. I think I can close up a lot of that dart by widening the bottom of the sleeve. If I cut it open down the center and sort of fan it out to make it the big bell sleeves that I'm planning to make, then I think I can close part of that dart back up by just rotating it along this point right here. So hopefully I will end up with something that looks kind of sensible. But first, the tracing. And it's also quite convenient. I think I can also, like, the dart is no big deal because there is some over width on the sleeve. Like, it's typical that the sleeve is a little bit, like, how do I explain this? That the fabric on the sleeve is more than the fabric on the armhole, because that way it just sort of pops more nicely, and you just ease it in there when you stitch it. And some of that you're gonna lose in that dart, but that's totally fine because you've got it, so you don't need that, because the sleeve doesn't work like normal sleeves. If that makes any sense. Sleeve goes here, sleeve length goes here. And then the rest of the thing is just straight lines. I'm not gonna exactly trace the bottom of the sleeve because that's also gonna need to be redone after I widen it up. So I'm just gonna draw a straight line for now and leave some extra paper at the bottom so I can make a nice curve once I'm done. Oh, let's also mark it straight up and down. Now, let's do this. So the plan is, which hopefully you can see that. Oh yeah, you can see that. So here's the current head of the sleeve. And here are currently the pieces that connect to it. So let's not swap them around. So the armhole in the back sort of looks like this and like that. And the plan is that I'm going to cut part of this off and basically tape it to the sleeve. And the same goes for the front, which connects something like this. So let's draw some lines and cut some things up. I think the curve is looking quite extreme right now, but I think once you mess with it a bit, it'll be okay. So here we go for professional messing with things. So I think it would be nice if we go from, I don't know, here? And then usually they go all the way to that notch that marks the head of the sleeve. And I think that makes sense because that's sort of that point here where it stops being, like it marks the point where it sort of goes under your arm, if that makes sense. So let's draw a nice curve from here to there with my ruler. And then any remaining dart that I'm going to have in the sleeve, I can hopefully also reduce a little bit by the pin tucks that I plan to be putting in there. So I think in the end we will be able to eliminate most, if not all, of the dart that we're about to create in the sleeve. That's the plan, at least. I'm just trying to line this up so that going from the notch through the end of the dart to the line that I just drew. And I think this is it. That's gonna be, we're gonna cut off the top of this for sleeve piece number 1. And then close this back up. Let's make sure this stays together and I don't lose it. There we are. So this is now just the new back panel. And then this piece, I'm gonna just mark back on this because otherwise I might mess up where it came from. It's gonna go on here somewhere. So let's do the same with the front piece. I'm gonna make the sleeve start here-ish. Seems about right. I don't know. And make a nice curve out of it. I think this point is actually a bit low, but I'm not. I think I'm gonna. I don't know. Let's hold it up to myself. Shoulder seams here. If I make the sleeve go across all the way here, it seems a bit extreme, so I'm gonna, maybe this is incorrect, but I'm gonna make the executive decision to do that a little bit higher than the mark would suggest, because I don't trust it. And if it turns out crap, well, you live and you learn. Also means that I have to do the same thing on the sleeve. Like, I need to attach it to the sleeve a little bit higher than the original mark, which is, let's see, about 1.5 centimeters up. So that means that on here we need to attach it starting there. All right, let's cut some more pieces up. So this is now the new front panel. And this is also going to be taped to the sleeve. Now comes a point of decision making, because I've seen several versions of what happens next. So definitely these are going to be attached something like this to the top of the sleeve. I've seen some people say to line up the notches with the points and then rotate it such that this point is touching the sleeve. I already see that I can't, because if I do, I go over the middle, because this is so much straighter than this curve. So that's just not going to happen. Maybe if you draw curvier armholes or flatter sleeves, that works for you, but I don't think it's going to happen for me. It's a little bit better on this side. I guess I could. Well, yeah, this does not necessarily represent the shoulder seam. That is correct. Wait, hold on. If I walk this instead of just rotating it, where do I end up? I end up here for the back, and I end up, I think this is easier to walk this way. I end up here from the front, and so halfway between these 2 points, so about here-ish, is where it would connect to the shoulder seam. I'm not sure you can see that on the camera, so let me just raise it up. So if I just straight up measure the length of the armholes and the sleeve, the front comes to here and the back comes to here. And so halfway between that point is where the shoulder seam would be. And like the remaining width, you would just ease into it. So this marking is actually what I should care about and not the center line that I drew. So if I do that, does that, it ends up, I don't really like how much I'm losing here because of the curvature. So I'm definitely not doing that. The other option is that you make a dart in the sleeve and sort of allow this to poke out of it at the top a little bit. I think makes more sense. So just do something like this. I'm trying to center it around the mark that I just made, so it's at least sort of somewhat symmetrical from there. It's very wide though. I have seen people do like a little bit of gap there. Let's go back to that tutorial page that I had open and double check what they're doing. So they made a dart that's 5 centimeters deep and doesn't say how wide it is. And then they're also leaving a gap between... Their sleeve is so much flatter than mine. But they're leaving a gap, like they're letting the pieces from the front and the back panel stick out of the top. And then just sort of connecting them together. Let's see if I've got other search results that do different things. Blech. Wow, I can't... That was caps lock. Raglan sleeve. Let's check some images for what they're doing. Because I have seen different versions. Like here, for example. Oh, that's dead. I just want to see the picture. There. Here they are matching the upper and lower pitch points, which they have drawn halfway down. Oh, they've got two points on the armhole. They've got the lower one and the top one. And they're matching those up with not sure what, actually. But they're suggesting basically that not the entire arm line matches up to the sleeve, but it just matches up to halfway up, I guess. Something like that. So I think my eyeballing it method does end up approximately correct. Does end up like as a reasonable average of what all these folks are doing. Make sure the top of the panel edge touches the sleeve head. I don't think I can do that. How do these people have... Like, this has to be a lie. There's no way your front panel looks like that. There's no way you draw the arm on your front panel like that. I don't trust these graphs at all. And this is just pure math. I'm not going to redo the thing. I'm just going to go back to eyeballing it, I guess. Let's go back to that. Is the dart on the picture shifted to the front? You mean the dart on the original picture that I was looking at? And where did it go? This one? Oh, wait, they have back and front switched from how I've got them, right? Yeah. Okay. I have no further desire to figure this out. I'm gonna just eyeball it to what I think looks about like what the other people have, approximately, maybe. And then maybe I'll have to make a mock-up. I probably have to make a mock-up because I don't have enough fabric to recut 2 huge, ginormous sleeves. So, yeah. Mock-ups will need to happen, I'm afraid. Alright, let's tape this. I think also one of the reasons that my sort of this line for the shoulder seam is so far to the front is because I did shift it forward on my original pattern, I think. Because when I was wearing it, it looked a bit off. And I think I've already made that alteration. Does that check out? Does that check out? Yeah, I put this here. It says Alteration Summer 2020. So that's me moving the shoulder seam forward a little bit because it looked off on me. So I think that checks out. All right, let's do something like this. I should have maybe drafted a new, should I have drafted a new sleeve? I don't think so. I think the sleeve is fine, it just needed to connect somewhere else. But I'm gonna visualize a line that goes through here and try to sort of center these pieces on that. The one in the sleeve, the dart in the sleeve, dart in the sleeve, dart in the sleeve. I'm not sure. Oh yeah. It is a bit lopsided, and I think this one is also going to end up a bit lopsided, and that's going to be okay. So here we're losing some of the sleeve, but I think that just is going to translate into a kind of sleeve length deal that's going to be a bit different. I don't know. I think that'll solve itself at the bottom of the sleeve, basically. At least I hope that's what it does. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to mocking this up. Always so much effort. Okay. And then let's draw. I'm going to use a pencil for this because I might change my mind on it several times. So we're going to go for going towards here-ish. Just try to draw a smooth shape, perhaps. Does that even? That looks real weird. I think it should be more. I don't know. I don't know. It looks so weird. Maybe I should. Maybe I should move the shoulder seam back up. Ha 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 ha. Actually, I fairly shamelessly can, because I can just cut a piece off of this and tape it to there, and that will move it back into the center. Right. This is a nightmare. Like, I feel that I'm just being thrown off by the fact that this center of the sleeve is not where the shoulder seam goes. And I know that, and I think it would make sense. Like, I don't care if the center pin tuck doesn't run exactly along where the shoulder seam should be. So if I undo my shoulder seam correction and just tape a little piece of that to there, I mean, that solves some of my problems visualizing what's going on here. Let's do it. Ah, God. Let's do it. I'm feeling lucky today. I'm gonna just willy-nilly move a bit of my shoulder seam over to the other side. I guess this is, like, I know that this dart that is sort of appearing here is a little bit lopsided, but I think this is equivalent to just closing it up and moving it a bit, so I think that I can just do this without serious repercussions. Let's do some taping. Oh god. This is like the tiniest sliver of paper. If I just tape this here and then continue the rest, I think I'll be fine. Actually, I'll tape an extra piece of paper there and then trace it, because this is too many tiny pieces of paper for me to handle right now. That is gonna go there. Wait, I gotta make sure it's actually enough at the bottom. Whoops. Nearly screwed that up. Then you are going to go here. Like that. Jeez. What am I doing? I don't know. And that goes right there. Let's cut that off and then continue with the experiment. Alright, so now I can safely ignore the red lines that I drew earlier. And I'm gonna see if this... Oh, it peels off beautifully. I love you, masking tape. I love you. You are the best. Oh, yes. It came off in one piece. So good. So now the actual center is, I think, in the actual center. Roughly, at least. Let's see if I can peel this off. Come on. Work with me here. I lost a tiny piece of paper, but it'll do. So that goes there, like approximately this. I think makes sense, perhaps. It will stick out a little bit at the top, which I think is what we want. And then this. Is also gonna peel off. Please, yes. And it's gonna go like... How exactly? Okay, it is curling up a bit after peeling off the tape, but something like sticking out the top a little bit, sort of like this. Wow, this looks so much nicer than what I had originally. Oh yeah, I'm so glad I did this. Just look at the sleeve going like that, and then this is right in the middle. I'm gonna erase this crappy dart that I drew. Yes. Yes, I'm liking this a lot more. Boop. There we are. And then I'm just gonna smooth this out into the sleeve. Right onto that center line. It's exactly in the middle where you want it to be. And it's the same as in the picture actually, where the front one is tilted towards the front a bit more extremely than the back one is tilted to the back, but that's fine. I think that checks out. I think we have ourselves a sleeve, if I cut this out. Now let's figure out the bottom of the sleeve, because it needs to be a bit wider than it is, because this is just a normal tight sleeve and I want the big bell sleeves. I don't remember exactly how wide I made them on the original shirt. I think it was something like 50 something, 55-ish or something. Let's see how wide it is currently. 30. Do I have a tape measure? I should have a tape measure. Do I have a tape measure? I don't have a tape measure. I do have a tape measure. I'm gonna just re-guesstimate the width of the sleeve by just, if I say 50 or 60, this loop is 60. I'm gonna just sort of stick my arm through it and feel that. That's quite puffy, right? What if I make it 55? Still would count as quite puffy. And 50. Still fairly puffy, but not quite. I think 55 is a nice amount. I think I lost the sketch of how much I did on the Regency style shirt, but let's go for 55 as the guideline. And so I'm gonna, I think, cut this into 4 sections and then pivot it open to make that happen. Now the question is, normally you just cut straight to the top of the sleeve and then sort of fan it out from there, but I don't really have a top of the sleeve at the moment. So, yeah. I think I might cut it slightly diagonally towards this center point. So I can, as I fan it open at the bottom, I can also fan it closed at the top. I think that might just check out if I do that. Let's try it. Let's try it. I'm gonna actually take these points where the sleeve, like where the dart is happening, and draw towards there to open up the sleeve. Because that way it will allow me to close that gap, I think that would make sense. Let's do it. So the first line is just down the center. And then I'm gonna mark some sort of 50-50 points down at the bottom. About here and here, and go from there to the top, to either corner of the, like to either of these corners. If my ruler is long enough, that is what I will do. It's just barely, but it's good enough. I'm taking a lot of creative license here, so I think mock-up is definitely in order. But let's see how it turns out. Where's my paper scissors? Hello? There we go. I actually kind of like doing vaguely dodgy things with pattern drafting from the I think it makes sense perspective. And then, I mean, maybe theoretically I should have just widened the sleeve first and then done the raglan change? I'm not sure. But I like the idea that I'll be able to close up some of that dart in doing this. I think that that's a thing that is good and makes some amount of sense. So should have probably left that attached at the top, shouldn't I? I just straight up cut through it, but I should have left a pivot point. Whoops. Oh well. So I need to open up the bottom by about, what was it? 30, 55 minus 30. It's 25 centimeters? That's a lot. So that's about 8 in each cut at the bottom. I'm gonna cut it right up to there so I can move it like this. I think maybe it's nice that I left it, that I cut it at the top, because then I'll be able to overlap it, right? Because the goal is to get rid of some of that dart. I guess if I had done the alteration on the sleeve first, the head of the sleeve would have flattened itself out a bit, and you would have ended up with a vaguely similar result to what I'm going to get now. Because that would have also tilted the front and back pieces towards each other. You can't really tell any of what I'm doing on camera right now, right? Because it's too big. Let's see if I can turn it so you can actually see what I'm doing. So the original sleeve was like this. I've cut 3 slits in it, all of which I'm going to sort of open up to get my extra width at the bottom. And at the same time, I'm going to try overlapping them a bit to bring these points closer together. So hopefully I will end up with something that looks real nice and is also a sensible shape. I'm gonna just take some, I said 8 to 9 centimeters each on the bottom. I'm gonna take some 8 or 9 centimeter strips of paper and just tape them down there so it's a bit easier to get that distance right. So we got 8, and I'll put 9 in the middle. Why not? I'm just going to use these as sort of rulers to get the bottoms spaced the right amount apart. So let's see if I can get the camera there. Boop. So I'm gonna just tape these in at the bottom. And they might need to move a little bit as I mess with it, but it'll just keep it approximately spaced out correctly. It won't lie perfectly flat, I think, but I'll just have to peel it off and retape it every so often, but it'll make some sort of hinge points that will keep it approximately the right angles. I hope. Maybe, perhaps. And I think I'm actually going to leave them in on the final pattern if I can. No, I'll have to make something a bit longer so I can draw a smooth bottom line, I guess. Too bad. Too bad, too bad. This goes there. Okay, so using that as a guide to space it out. Now I'm gonna... Ooh, it's already sort of pivoting towards itself. That's nice. Look at that. I'm not even doing anything yet. If I just want all of these points to overlap, can I do that? Let's pivot them all into a ball. I am gonna cut these loose, just so I can move them around a bit more. So now I've just got slivers of paper that I think I might be able to get this to overlap sort of all of it. What happens if I stack that all on top of each other? Same point, and just close it entirely. Ta-da! Now let's see if this checks out in any way. It's bubbling a bit here, so probably something. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, it makes sense because the top is obviously longer than the sides, so I've push these up by doing that. So I lose a little bit of the length if I just tuck these underneath. But I can add that back in at the bottom. So I'm going to peel the bottom two off and allow them to creep up as they please so they can lie flat. Ooh. I like this experiment quite a lot. Da-da! Ooh. Now I'm just gonna open up these bottom thingies and see whether the lengths are still the same or whether I shifted it up and down perhaps a bit too much. I'm going to sort of close the fold back up and just check whether it will... I don't know. Oh yeah, you can't anymore because it overlaps too much now. Yeah, I don't mind this actually. It's a little bit unorthodox, but I don't know. I feel like I do have to just do a trace of this instead of using it like this though, and then go back in and figure out what's going on with this dart. But I kind of like it. And I think it's not insane to do it like this. It's a bit shortcutty. And I'm gonna have to ask people who know what they're talking about whether this makes any sense, but... Hey Diana, welcome back. You're drafting a new sleeve with very long cuffs? Oh yeah, I'm digging the long cuffs at the moment, so but you have 2 projects to finish first? Yeah, I'll be honest, I told you last week that I was gonna finish the waistcoat off camera. I didn't. It's still in the same state as last week when I stopped the stream. In my defense, I went on like a 3-day vacation this week and whatever. So I'm starting new projects because whatever. I am gonna keep this the way I've taped it down now because I kind of like it. I'm just gonna trace it onto a new piece of paper. And then I'll definitely have to make a mock-up because I don't trust any of what I did. I just hope that the ingenuity checks out. I don't know. Let's make sure it's taped down well and good. I'm gonna... Can I trace it like this or do I have to... I don't know. I don't know. Let's grab some paper. Throw it on top and see whether it's traceable like this or whether it just won't lie flat enough. We're gonna need a piece of paper. It's about this big. Also, maybe I've done it wrong with the opening it up. Hold up, let's go back. Because... Wait. I have that... The good thing you said the thing about the long cuffs, because that means that I would shorten the sleeve to add the long cuffs. But also it needs to be a bit longer to account for the poof. But also... Like, basically I've put the poof just about all the way at the bottom now, which I don't think checks out, because the poof reduces itself as we go up. I think maybe the poof needs to move up. I don't know by how much, it's by an approximate amount. And this will all... Everything will be fine once I make the mock-up. But I think I'm gonna move the poof up a little bit by just sticking these up a little bit higher, and that will open it up a bit more extremely, I suppose. That tall. That's where the poof goes. Poof goes there. So that's going to make the bottom a little bit longer still. I can even straighten that out if I don't need the additional, like, I can just go out and then straight. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. You're refinishing a couch? Oh, you know that gray fabric that I used for my spats and my bag and a bunch of other things? That was going to be refurbishing my couch at some point in time. I never did. I got rid of the couch before I did. Now I have a bunch of upholstery fabric. But it's I'm glad that you are actually doing your couch the way you plan to. Congratulations. I think I will only shorten the sleeves by a little bit because the poof also, like the outwardness of the poof, if that makes any sense, also eats up a little bit of length. And I think that that's why when I made the more historically accurate shirt, it turned out with the sleeves a little bit short, even though I'd calculated everything pretty generously. So I'm not quite sure how much to take off the length. Now, let's take this tape off for a sec so it can relax into its new angles. So I'm kind of tempted to just leave the sleeve length as it is and just add the long cuffs regardless. But that's probably a bit much. All of that will be worked out in the mock-up, I swear. And then just overlap this. And wiggle this into position, mayhaps. Oh, this stage where this goes doesn't even matter, right? It matters where the bottom goes, because that's where I'm going to draw it. But where these exact things go doesn't matter. That's just going to be flat. This is just all going to be flat. So whatevs. All right, let's trace this again. Let's see if I actually cut enough paper now, because this will have widened the bottom by a bit more. But I think I cut it fairly generously. Yeah, we good. I'm also going to tape this down because it's going to move like crazy. This is not even. Sometimes I feel like draping would make my life easier, and sometimes I just love the math and not dealing with, I don't know. The math and the theory. And then seeing the theory check out is like the thing that I'm going for. Let's cut a little bit off the top so I can tape it down there. La 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 la. In a couple of years' time, I will see this stream. Well, probably I won't, but I imagine I will. I will see this, and I will see myself do ridiculous things. And I'll be horrified. But hey, it seemed like a good idea at the time. So after I trace this, then I'm gonna think about making the pin tucks go into the sleeve, because there's also gonna be 5 of them in there, which will hopefully further close up this this dart. And in the end, it will be very slight. I am gonna have some amount of dart, I guess, but I'm gonna just sort of top stitch it and make it into a pin tuck. I think that'll be nice and stealthy. No one will need to know that there is a seam there. Upholstery fabric makes great pants. I hadn't considered that. I felt like mine was a bit too drapey and heavy for pants, but COVID home repairs is a worthy cause. I'm also just gonna mark where theoretically this should match up, I guess. Makes sense? Yeah. I like that we're like half a year in and we're still on like lockdown home repairs. Oh yeah, I will definitely look back and laugh at myself, but I don't know. If in the meantime the shirt looks halfway decent, I'll be able to deal with it. Like, definitely making a mock-up, expecting to make some changes, and after that, it's just it's a part of history. Then it doesn't matter anymore. Let's flip that around so I get the more curvier side on the bottom. And try to make this one smooth thing. I don't think this will mess with the length too much. There we go. Or maybe I've got sewing class on Thursday. I'll go and ask how I'm supposed to do it. And then maybe people will laugh at how I actually did it. But then I'll know. Your country is a shit show? Oh, yeah. I assume that you're talking about the US. It's been interesting to watch from over here in Europe. Though, to be honest, it's not going great here at the moment. I'm in the Netherlands, and cases are going up, and it's not looking great. Let's see. I need to put a grain line. I think I'm gonna put it straight down where I opened this up. So it should be 5.5, 2 point. There. That'll be the grain line. 1940s pants were done with heavier weights of fabric. Oh, I didn't know. I guess, yeah, now that I think of it, thinking of 40s, you get that more drapey, heavy look. That would make sense. I guess you could make really drapey pants. Yeah. Now let's make sure I've got the length like the same on each side, and also how it matches. Since this week we're not allowed to travel there anymore. Yeah. I know. People don't like us at the moment. It's honestly like the infection numbers, like the confirmed cases numbers, look the same as the previous peak, but actually that peak was severely undertested, apparently, because the looking at the number of hospitalizations, it looks way better than the previous peak, so it can't be the same, basically. This is a length of 55, which is also, no, it's 45. I think on the previous sleeve, oh no, that had way different starting points. I don't think this compares at all to the last sleeve. I'll just put 45 and call it a day. And that'll be fine. Those straight pants with cuffs, tailored from men's pants. Could handle some. Oh yeah, yeah. The pants with cuffs are. I don't know. They're a bit weird to me. I don't like the silhouette at all. Like for me, like my silhouette is kind of like, I don't know, a chest piece where it's just like you got a bit of a waist and then it just straight down to the floor in a smooth line. I don't know. Will have to be approximate. Something like that, I think, is a sleeve. Let's cut this out. And then, I don't know, figure out the pin tucks first. Or cut it out first. Figure out the pin tucks first, I think, because I might change how I cut it. Does it? You're not following my direction right now? Yeah, I'm not following it exactly either. I've got a raglan sleeve attempt that I'm now also widening, and there's going to be pin tucks along the top that are going to eat up some of the width. So I'm going to have to add some of that back in. And also it's going to close the start, maybe. So my brain is a bit... What cut of pants do I like? I have some just really wide... They're not quite... No, what's the English word? I can't brain. I like pants that are a bit wider at the bottom. Let's keep it at that. If I want to have a pin tuck that goes about down to about here-ish. How long is that? 19, 20? So that goes to about, this is about 12. Is this even the same? It is. So we're down to 12 here, so we go to, so that pin tuck would have to go to about there. And then I want some more decorative ones, sort of like that, and like that, and like that, and like that, and have it kind of even. Where do I even put this? Do I make the dart longer all the way to this point? And does that fix things for me? I don't know anything anymore. Oh yeah, I'm more boot cut than bell bottom, definitely. But I also like pants that are already widening, like sort of from the thigh out, where you don't really have it tight around your thighs. But then not too ridiculously wide. I don't know. I don't want to look like a 70s disco hero. I just want to look like a sort of chest piece. Just, I don't know. Just like from the hips smoothly down to the floor. What am I doing? I need some more tea. I'm gonna. Maybe I should make a mock-up of this. Then draw where I want the pin tucks on it once it's finished. And then use that to add them back in here. I think that might work out best, actually. Because I can just treat pin tucks like tiny pleats in the pattern, and that'll check out. Yeah. Let's make a mock-up. Screw this. I think that's what I'm doing. Because I think that will allow me to shape them a bit more nicely. Because I want them to be a design feature. Please come off in one piece, please. Yeah. Oh, don't get stuck. No, don't get stuck, please. Oh God. I think that today is maybe not my day. I'm feeling pretty clumsy about just about everything. Alright, the original sleeve monstrosity is going to stand by for a sec. I might need to go back to that. But for now, let's pretend that this is a sleeve. Almost like a narrow A-line split skirt? Yeah, kind of like a split skirt, but it's a bit... Split skirt is a bit much for me, but almost, yeah, that kind of silhouette that's a bit, a silhouette that doesn't really have legs. I don't know. What's a Marlene? I don't know what that is. And I think split skirt is the word I was looking for, so thanks. I think when I make this mock-up, I can also gather up the bottom of the sleeve and poof it out and just see where the length ends up, and then decide how much I'm going to take out for the cuff. Thanks. I was quite proud of that innovation myself. I just, well... I was gonna mess with how they all came together at the top, and so I wanted at least not to have to worry about the bottom at the same time. So I just skipped a couple of strips in there. It worked, so happy with that. feels bad to do a mock-up of a full sleeve because it's so much fabric, where theoretically you don't need it, because you should just be able to figure out the length on your own. But honestly, I can't properly account for the amount of length lost in the width of the poof. So I'm gonna just do it. Make a full mock-up. I'm probably gonna straighten it out after. Oh yeah, I think that's it. I will also probably need to do some alteration of the bottom of the sleeve, because typically the back of the sleeve is a little bit longer than the front, to account for the fact that your arm is never hanging straight down. So I will need to change the bottom up a little bit probably, but we'll see just how much it needs it with how poofy it already is. Okay, theoretically a sleeve. That's true, and I can reuse the fabric of the mock-up probably to some degree. All right, this is not actual pieces that I still need, so that can go away. This is the sleeve monstrosity, which is going to chill over here for a bit. This is an actual back panel that I'm gonna. I'm just gonna leave the length as it is. The length currently is the hip line, which I think is a fine length for a shirt. Or maybe I need to make sure that it doesn't peep out from underneath my waistcoat. I don't know. Nah, let's leave it like this. And then I have another piece at some point. Of the front. I also still need to do the collar, but I'll just check the fit on this first and then deal with whatever opening thing is going to happen here, I guess. That'll also help me figure out how long this slit here needs to be for me to be able to put my head through it to begin with, so. That should be... We will learn a lot of things from the mock-up. Let's do it. There were fashion houses in the 18th century that made children clothes for the poor. Oh, right. I guess you can make, like if you're making enormous ball gowns, you probably have pretty large pieces of cabbage that you can actually make children's clothes out of still. That would make sense. So, my muslin, where did it go? I hope I actually have enough. This is not a whole lot. Oh god. Do I have space? Do I have more? Well, there's some canvas and some scraps, but let's start with the sleeves because they need the largest amount of continuous fabric, and then maybe I'll have to do the front panel out of some scraps. I don't know. We'll see. There's a bit of a fold in there, but that's okay. I'm gonna cut neither of these on the fold because I made a small correction for my back on the back, which makes it not entirely straight anymore. And I don't mind having the back seam, so. See, this should be the grain line. Right. Should probably get a way to mount my camera a little bit higher so you can actually see the sort of large scale stuff. Because now you're looking at part of my pattern on part of my fabric, which is a bit impractical. I'm gonna cut no allowance whatsoever on the bottom edge because that'll just be the end of the shirt, and I'm not gonna hem them all up, so. And then I'll just cut seam allowances everywhere else. This is a bit narrow, but meh. I can get away with that. Probably doesn't need changing there. This is the neckline, so I'm also gonna not cut seam allowance on that, because otherwise it's just gonna be a really tight neck. Now let's get the front part. Oh, I said I wasn't going to cut anything on the fold, but I'm definitely going to cut the center front on the fold because, well, that's actually the design of the center front. Wow. I am not my brightest today, clearly. I'm just going to flip this over so it's a bit easier to work with. I am feeling super smart right now. Is that... Does it fit? Does it fit? It doesn't. That's sad. Let's go down a little bit. Save on a little bit of cabbage. I think there. School sent me a webcam to upgrade a teaching game. Ooh. Well, I don't know. So I started streaming also around the start of the lockdown. That was when everyone needed to work from home and it was really difficult to buy webcams. So I I wanted to buy a full HD webcam. I I ordered one from a website that said they had one in like 2 weeks' time. They didn't. They sent me an incorrect 720p webcam, and I was like, they were like, oh, you can return it and wait for the other one to get into stock, but it's actually going to take a bit longer, or we can just refund you the difference. And I was like, still couldn't buy a full HD one anywhere, so it's just, okay, refund me the difference. Fine, I'll take this. So now I actually have a webcam that is less than what you would consider normal for streaming. Because there were none other ones available. No other words. I just couldn't buy a good one, so I have an acceptable one, but only borderline acceptable. So I'm gonna have to upgrade that at some point. I think now it's becoming kind of doable to buy decent webcams again, but I don't know. We'll see. But it's nice that your school is sending you stuff to make the remote teaching a bit better. Okay. I'm gonna need to do some marking of these pintucks. So I guess I'm gonna poke a hole in the pattern and just mark some dots through it that I'm then gonna connect the dots. Maybe even the holes I poke through here will stay long enough that I can trace them. Thankfully the university has gone totally remote. Oh yeah. I really don't understand the insistence on having in-person class when it's clearly not a great idea to do so right now. But who am I? I am not a virologist. I mean, neither are most of the people making the decisions, but you would hope they listen to some. I'm gonna just mark the seam line. You want some money? I mean, what is the? Do you get extra money if you have in-person classes? How I think tuition is still the same, right? Or is it money made on student accommodation, bars? I don't know. So here I'm going to mark the end of the sleeve insert. What happens there? Can I see the holes that I poked through the back? Yes, but only barely. Where's my pokey holes? Bounds around the college. Yeah, it's the same as that thing in the UK where they were complaining about the fact that with all the offices empty, the nearby bagel shops didn't make as much money. And people should all go back to the office. It's like, what? Don't be silly. I'm just missing one poke. I hope that once all of this is over, we are actually going to keep some of the remote working. Because I mean, sure, it makes the bagel shops go bankrupt, but I don't really care about them. It's a huge saving on travel time for employees. It's a huge benefit for the environment to not have all those cars travel into offices and having all those offices' air conditioning on. I don't know. I think it would be good if we kept some of that. You work in elementary school. Open to also give children support. Yeah, for children, I get it, and I think that the science is that they don't catch or spread COVID as much as the rest of the world does. So I can kind of deal with primary schools being open, but universities, I don't think need to be open. How come it was so much easier to see the holes on the back? I cannot see crap here. Well, basically, lots of problems, and I'm probably oversimplifying things because I am not an expert, but hopefully sort of end of the year, start of next year, vaccine is going to hit, and it'll take a couple of months to roll out, but then we can sort of go back to normal. I hope. And we can all get dressed up and go to events. All the clothes we made during the lockdown. Let's mark some stuff on the back. Oh yeah, better get this lined up exactly the same way. Fortunately, I've got the holes. The markings for the pintucks. I think that this is the correct position. Yes, please. Yeah. Dart goes there. To here. What time is it now? Ooh, 5:23 already. Time flies when you're messing with sleeves. Yeah, that's really difficult. I don't think you can, really. So there'd probably be an exemption for doing that sort of thing. But then again, exemption does not take away the risk for you personally, so. That's a bit rough. Alright, that's the front panel all marked. Let's also do the back panel, and then I'm going to cut the sleeves. I think, so normally I leave at 6 for dinner, but for today I've got some wrap for the oven that I prepared earlier. So I think I'm just gonna head down soonish and preheat the oven and just plop it in and keep working as it cooks. So, because I got nothing to do with it anyway. I can just get more work done. And stay online a little bit longer. Oh yeah, I'm marking the darts. Spoke some holes. One day a girl fell flat on her face. What, when little kids fall over, are they supposed to just, you're supposed to just tell them to get up? Like what? That's not a workable situation. That's a lot. A lot to deal with. Is it an option to like do face masks and be able to touch each other? 'Cause armhole starts there. Let's make some darts. Darts. Okay, let's flip it over and also mark it on the back. I'm just also going to pin it down here because I don't need to match it up exactly to the front, but I do need to keep it in place as I trace it. Okay. I hope I can throw together this mock-up today, because I want to know how the sleeves are turning out. I want to know what I did. This is not entirely lined up correctly, but nothing some scissors won't fix. How did I come up with it? I don't know. And I'm not sure it's entirely Pintuck Raglan. There's still a bit of a dart, but I don't know. You know, on the original Regency shirt that I did, you get the shoulder seam sort of off the shoulder, and then you get the gathers. And I really like that idea of having sort of the lines down the top of your arm. So I was like, how can I do that on a more modern silhouette? And that's how I ended up with the Raglan sleeve with the pleats or the pintucks. So you can have it smoothly, like there won't be that line on your arm, but you just get smooth lines running off of your shoulder. It didn't make sense to do that on a traditional sleeve where you've got lines along the shoulder and then moving onto the sleeve. So that's why it had to become a raglan, I guess. So just a whole bunch of, well, if I do this, but then etc. Conjecture. I'm glad that that explanation made some amount of sense. I just wanted lines on my shoulder. Wait, I did mark the dots for the... Well, it's so hard, like, because there's tiny specks in the fabric as well. I don't know where I marked anything. Can't see it. Let's try that again. A little bit, maybe I should just use a colored pen. Because I cannot see crap. Definitely here, definitely here. Definitely there. Now, what dot is the top one? Oh! Let's do this with a colored pen, because I'm done with this crap. There we go. The only Raglan jumper. Oh, yeah. I've seen the stretch Raglan sleeves where you don't even get the dart gap. And it makes sense. But I guess if you have a non-stretchy fabric, you need something to deal with like the apex of your shoulder. That's where you end up with the dart. Where in a stretchy fabric, that just sorts itself out. It's cool that you made a Trek outfit. Okay, that's the front and the back panels marked and done. Where did I thought I had, oh there. More piles on the floor. Let's go. Now the sleeve. Where did I put the sleeve? Go. I think I have enough fabric for that, so that is nice. I'm not going to cut this on grain because screw that. I want to save some fabric. No, that's bad. I think, or should I? Because I guess the stretchiness of the shoulder seam actually matters. Okay, I'll cut it on the grain. Okay. Forget I ever said anything. I'll do it. Okay. It matters. No cutting corners. I'm gonna flip it over. It's snugly. Oh, cool. I like that they publish books of patterns for that, actually. Is it like official merch to have the Trekkie shirt pattern, or is that a fan-made sort of thing? I think that's about on grain. I'm going to need to make sure that I really clearly mark what is the front and what is the back on this, because otherwise I'm going to mix these up. Is this the back of the sleeve? Yes. Look, I think it would be so cool if you could buy, well, I guess there's not enough of a market for it, but what if costume movies, like costume heavy movies that people are gonna want to cosplay or make stuff out of, you could buy the patterns that were used to make the original costumes. Like, supposedly those patterns exist somewhere because some costume maker made them for the show or for the movie. Oh. Okay, so the corner doesn't quite fit onto the fabric here, but I'm gonna ignore that fact because it matters so little for what I'm trying to achieve here. Screw this. I'm not gonna move it now. I'm just gonna pretend that little notch of fabric actually exists. Starfleet Technical Manual? Oh, wow. Wow, that's amazing. I guess in the 70s it was a bit more common to make your own clothes. I don't know. Or do you know of any modern shows that actually publish the patterns for making the... Wow. It's... I'm not a Trekkie or Star Wars. I don't have any stake in that kind of game. But, I really gotta respect the fact that they have official merch with the patterns in it. I'm kind of wondering why I don't have more muslin, because I feel that last time I went fabric shopping I bought a bunch, but maybe I'm just hallucinating that. Where's my ruler? Here. That is not straight. That's better. Alright, I'm just gonna quickly hop downstairs to preheat the oven so I don't have to wait a million years for my food after I stop streaming. So I'll be back in a sec. Back to business with the Raglan experiment. I guess I should mark where like the connection to the front and back panels starts and the armhole stops. You're a perfect age. So, how, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you that you say that you're a perfect age for Star Wars? What does that mean, perfect age for Star Wars? Oh wait, there was another message I didn't read. Star Trek was the only thing I saw before you were 5. Oh wow. That's not something I remember. I remember my mom being a huge, well, not a huge Star Trek fan, but she would watch when it was on TV consistently, like wanted to watch it. So I remember seeing that when I was a kid. But I never really got hardcore into either franchise. Like, I watched Star Wars at some point because who hasn't seen Star Wars? And I just watched all of them, except number 2 because I heard it sucked. And that was that. I never really got into it for some reason. Even though I'm not opposed to, like, space things. Okay, let's mark a hypothetical Pintuck. There-ish. See if that math was right. Let's flip it over and do the back. I guess I could have put some, like, carbon paper or tracing paper, chalk paper, whatever, underneath and done both sides at the same time. But I didn't. You only like the first 3 movies? Like the original ones, not the modern ones? I remember when I was a kid, the modern ones came out and there was Jar Jar merchandise everywhere. Because kids like Jar Jar, I guess. Because he's funny. Got a big tongue. I don't know. Guess my childhood was, I don't know. I was like 12 or something when Pokemon was a huge thing. And I loved it. I still love Pokemon, honestly. And also, I watched a lot of Dragon Ball Z. To the annoyance of everyone who doesn't like to hear groaning for 20 minutes straight as a TV show. But, let's pretend if prequels were never made. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. Alright, I think that is actually the sleeve marked, and that means I can start stitching together this mock-up, I think. For Pokemon, I haven't seen any of the new movies. Like, I've watched, well, also just the TV series for the time when I actually cared. Like, sort of the first and second series, maybe. And I've seen the first 2 or 3 movies. And after that, I have no clue what's going on anymore with Pokemon. I'll be honest. Alright, I heard the oven beep, so I'm going to put my food in it. And then I'm going to stitch this together. I think my food takes half an hour anyway, so that should be enough. Okay, mock-up time, mock-up time, mock-up time. Let's get a sewing machine up in here. So what order should I assemble this in? Should I, let's see. Well, darts first is easy. And then you get the raglan stuff. Oh, it doesn't really matter, does it? The armholes, like these connections don't interfere with any of that. Don't interfere with any of the side seams either. I think I could do that in any order I want. How convenient. Where's my sewing machine? Let's just go. I'll do the darts first. I'm going to consider the side that I marked to be the wrong side of the fabric so I can pin with the lines visible. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yes. Whew. My brain is not really cooperative today. Also, I should probably pin my darts the other way around so I can actually stitch them towards the point instead of the other way around. See? I am on top of things. Let's just give that a rough trim. Next. You made pumpkin soup and 1910 iced tea syrup. Oh no, I didn't say what I had for dinner. I made some moussaka a while back, and I just froze one batch of it, like uncooked. Well, I mean, the sauce and the eggplant and everything is cooked before it even goes into the oven dish, but it's not been in the oven before. And so that's currently in the oven. Moussaka is a Greek dish. Like, you make a sort of lasagna style thing, but no pasta. Instead you have potatoes and eggplant. And some, like, beef tomato sauce. And you put some bechamel sauce on top and some cheese. Alright, so these were the shoulder darts and the sleeves. Correct, correct. Yes. Now we do the darts in the back panel. It is delicious. It takes a while to make though, because you have to, like, especially the eggplant, because you need to put, like, slice it and put salt on it to get the bitterness and the moisture out. And then grill it, and then assemble it, and then so it's a bit of effort. It's pretty tasty though. Time for breakfast for you? Yes. My breakfasts have been yogurt and muesli for a while now, but occasionally I just totally just hate it and switch to something else for ages, and then hate that and switch to something else for ages. I'm a bit... I have habits, but they shift radically sometimes. Alright. Uh-oh, I think this sounds like the bobbin ran out, maybe? Oh no, we're actually good. It was just weirdly silent for no reason. I made a bit of a mess of that, but it shouldn't matter for the mock-up. Yesterday you made pie with... Ooh. That also sounds really tasty. Onion, spinach, peas, fed on garlic. Maybe I'll make some kind of... similar pie with... I've got a ton of basil plants that are just overgrowing on my windowsill. Maybe make my own pesto. I could try to make my own pesto. All these ambitions. Alright, that's the dirt in the back panels. So I'm going to cut out a little bit of. And then I think we still got the bust darts in the front. Maple syrup and brown sugar and oatmeal. I've never really been an oatmeal kind of person. But, ooh, wait, no. I have my Pintucks marked on this side, which makes it, I would want to fold them like this and stitch them, but that would be the good side, and this is supposed to be the bad side. Maybe I'll just stitch this panel inside out compared to the other ones. I'll consider the side with the pencil markings to be the outside, like the good side. So I can use these markings to do my Pintucks. Yeah, let's do that. Because why be consistent? Butter and brown sugar in your oatmeal? That sounds like a plan. Oh god. What am I doing? Fortunately, it's vaguely see-through, so I can sort of tell that it's lined up. The way the light shines through the fabric. And also that it ends right there. Yes, I do mean moussaka. Or am I mispronouncing it? Where I had two of these pieces, right? Where did it go? I have no clue what I've got anymore. This is 2 sleeves. Yes. Here is... Oh! I forgot that the front panel is 2 panels. I was looking for the second front panel, but there isn't one. I am smart. Stops right there. I think that's good. And then next time I'm gonna do the pin tucks, because doing those when the garment is already constructed would be annoying as hell. Oh yeah. It's pretty tasty. It's so, like, comforting as well. It's a real comfort food, I feel. Here, just got your sauce and your potatoes. Now, let's see what I'm gonna do with these. I think I'm just gonna pinch them, maybe not even pin them, and just run them under the machine. I'm just gonna try one just like this without any pinning, even though it's called a Pintuck, huh? And see whether I can pull it off, and if I can't, I'll just pin some of the rest. A girlfriend in Athens? Ooh. I mean, I am not Greek whatsoever, so probably whatever I make of it is only halfway decent compared to what a real Greek mom could make, I suppose. Let's see. This is going pretty well. The fabric is behaving nicely. Now you're making me really hungry though. Now doing the second one is a bit awkward because then you gotta fold back the first one and it's trying to slip. But I think I got it. Come on now. Don't be like that. Sorry, I'm just talking to my fabric because it helps. I made that one a little bit too long because it was kind of hard to see where the end was, but shouldn't matter too much. I like the way this looks though. Kind of neat. One half eggplant, one half potatoes. You can't do eggplant? Oh. I've also heard variations where you can put zucchini or something in. I imagine it's not quite the same texture, but might be an option. Now you're making me miss travel as well. This has been quite a year. And we're not even done. This is kind of tedious, I have to say. Doing all these. They're easy, but it's taken a while. And the clock is ticking now because my stuff is in the oven. So let's see how far we can make it. Though, to be honest, if it stays in the oven a bit too long, it's probably no big deal, as long as the top doesn't burn. I'm kind of glad that it's working without pinning it, though. Alright, let's cut off all these excess threads because this looks like garbage. I think on the final thing I'll have to sort of nicely pull them towards the back of the fabric or something. For now, I'm gonna do this. Okay, that's one half of the Pintucks in. It looks pretty nice, honestly. It's nice. So let's put in the other half. And then it's just a couple of side seams and a shoulder seam, and that should be about it. Hopefully, maybe. Sorry. American living in Germany. Oh. Yeah, I went on a 3-day vacation this week because I needed a break from being in my apartment. But I was not about to cross borders because who the hell knows whether they're gonna close while I'm there or something. So. Alright, two more to go, two more to go. last one of the Pintucks going in. So was this on CNN? You can see all the people got locked down and yeah, exactly. And the 31st of December, there's Brexit. Oh yes, Brexit is gonna be hilarious. I mean, for some definition of hilarious, for other definitions it's horrible, but I am gonna miss traveling to the UK. Sort of depending on what they come up with for us. I imagine they're not going to make it too difficult, but who the hell knows? I don't know. Okay. I do think these look... Look, that looks reasonable, doesn't it? That looks like it could go on a body, I think. Maybe I'll shorten the side ones a little bit more so it's a bit more dart shaped. But honestly, I don't mind this. I like it. I'm just gonna press all of the darts real quick before I assemble the final thing, because it'll be real hard to press once it's all together. And I'm just gonna use my my ironing board instead of plopping it all on the table, because this muslin is what I was using as my table ironing board, so too bad. It's gone now. I guess I can swivel you this way so you can look at the back of my head while I press this. Let's see. I'm just giving everything a really quick press, so it'll behave roughly like the finished product when I try it on. But I'm not too exact with it, I'll be honest. This is scrap fabric. These are my sleeves. This is the back. Alright. Let the assembly continue. You know a guy who was planning on retiring in France with his brothers? Oh, geez. I mean, I suppose you could still... Like, there will probably be ways, but they will involve getting visas and things. Let's see. This is 2 back panels that should go together like this. Like, it's a lot easier when you just have the EU and you can just move wherever you want, whenever you want. That's for sure. Oh no! I hear the oven beeping! My time is running out! I'm gonna pin this and then check real quick whether my food is actually still hot, because it did come out of, or is hot already, because it came out of the freezer. I did try to defrost it up front, but not that much. It might be able to go for a little while longer in the oven, and then I can finish the mock-up. I just want to finish the mock-up, damn it! Alright. 1 minute. 30 seconds. Alright, I bought myself another 5 minutes. Let's finish this thing. I'm gonna keep the iron on, actually, so I can press it as soon as it finishes. Alright, so that was the center back seam. Now let's do the side seams. Let's see, this is... This is... does that go there? This is the good side. This is the there. There. It should go together like that. This is becoming quite tense now. Can she finish it before the moussaka comes out of the oven? The excitement, the suspense. Oh my god. Why does this not, this seems to not line up. Why is that? What happened with my side seams? Oh, actually it's not so bad. I just cut different seam allowances. Okay, we're good. Everything's fine. Everything's cool. It's kind of hard to see the stitch line from this side. I should have probably done this from the other side. But oh well. I'll just try to smoothly stitch towards my my pins. I can't see crap. What is going on? I sort of see it shining through the fabric, but it's not great. I will pin that differently the next time around. See how badly I messed up? That is totally fine, actually. So this time, let's spin it on the side that actually has the pencil markings, so I can see what I'm doing. You gotta go. Well, thanks for hanging out in the stream, and I'll see you next week. I'm thinking that, I mean, hopefully next week. I'm thinking I'll do something not sewing next week, because it's been a lot of sewing. But maybe I'll see you there, and have a good rest of your weekend, I guess. I'm hearing the oven again, which is not boding well. So close though. Almost. I'll just trust that it's not burned, and it will start cooling now because it's done. It'll just beep annoyingly at me, but it won't actually. It'll stay warm. Won't burn. It'll be fine. I can finish my shirt. I gotta finish my shirt. Come on. That was like that. Okay. Stitchy, stitchy. Let's go. I'm so hungry too, like, jeez. Alright, that's the body assembled. Now I just need to do the actual sleeve thing and attach that to the front and the back. So let's see. This sleeve, the back is here, and that's the wrong side of the fabric. So this goes there, if I am doing this correctly. Yeah. It seems like it might line up, so let's try it. Yeah, oven, you can stop beeping. I know you're done. I know. Just get something to finish first. Wait, no, this cannot be right because I'm not doing this with pencil lines facing. So instead, it needs to happen like this. Yes, that checks out. This is also the back. Yes. I just want to finish my mock-up. Come on. Just put the points I marked as the edge of the arm together first. So I can't screw it up. Because there's a concave curve stitched to a convex one. So there's always a little bit of wiggling, and I don't want to wiggle it too much to the point where it becomes not good. I think that's about good enough to stitch. YOLO. Oh, it helps if I plug it in. Is that reasonable? It looks not bad. Now let's stitch it to the front. Why does this always take longer than I think it does? How does that always happen? Wait, this length looks entirely different. This is probably not the same markings that I'm looking at. That does not add up. What is this? That cannot be the same thing. Really mistook some marking for another. I'll just double check on the pattern what I'm doing here. Where did I put all my pieces? So the issue is with the front, with this mark on the front, matching or not with this mark on the sleeve. So this was marked slightly too low, but not by much. It doesn't really explain the huge difference I'm seeing. So here on the sleeve piece, I've marked it a little lower than I should have, but not by a huge amount. So perhaps the issue is with the front piece. Wait, what? This is not even the front, this is the back. What? No! Wait, what? What am I... Oh! Ha ha! It doesn't add up because it shouldn't even go that way. I just tried to stitch the sleeve like across the back of the neck or something. That would explain why it doesn't work. Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. That checks out. Oh god. I now feel that I'm gonna just do the one sleeve and try it on. Because who needs a second sleeve, to be honest? Oh wait, I need it because it's got the shoulder seam. Ugh. I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe I'll just try on the one sleeve. Just screw it. I'm really hungry. I want to try on something, though. I just need to know whether I've been a total idiot or not. Meanwhile, my iron is like, oh, you're gonna use me soon, right? I'm just steaming a bit over there. Wait, am I being an idiot again? I don't think I'm supposed to stop here. I think I'm supposed to just go to the edge of the side seam, right? Right. Why did I even... Okay, I am officially an idiot. I didn't need to stop there. Should have probably just closed this up and then set the sleeve starting here somewhere. Wait, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna stitch the sides. Stitch together the sleeve and then set it into the shoulder / armhole. I think that checks out. Okay, let's stitch together the edge of the sleeve first, and then make it nice in the armhole. I'll just very quickly press both those open. Oh my god. Why does it take forever? Otherwise, it doesn't go together well. This will make my life easier and save time in the long run. This is my efficiency, so... Alright, let's finish one sleeve at last. Perhaps this should go together like so. I'm gonna just try to poke a pin straight through each of the seams, right where they're supposed to meet. I'm gonna try to wiggle it together from there. come on now, don't be difficult. You can do it. You can be a nice, cooperative sleeve. An update on your current sewing things. Remember how you said sewing machine would make things a lot easier? Oh! You were gifted an old machine? Cool. The time which I was not able to finish it all. You tried what I said. What did I say? I'm not sure what I said. I'm happy that I said something smart. But I don't really remember exactly what you're talking about. Is it just about having the sewing machine, making it easier to do quilting? Or... I'm so happy that it's working out for you, though. I'm so glad that you have found the joy of machine stitching. I mean, obviously I like it, but I thought you were quite enthusiastic about hand stitching things for the sake of being able to use your hands. But I'm glad that the machine is working for you. Let's give myself a bit more space and see if I can get this in. This is gonna take a little bit of wrestling, but I think I should be able to get this under. Come on. Play nice, play nice. Like going through the curve under the arm is a bit... I'm gonna need to do this in a different order next time because this is not convenient in the slightest. But I think I can sort of wrestle it into coming out at least in approximately the right place. Ugh. It's veering off course. Stop doing that. I need you to cooperate. Well, stitching that curve was a nightmare, and I'm not going to be doing that in that order ever again. But hey, good practice for the real thing, I guess. Let's see if it's in any way acceptable, what I've done. Yeah, no, I caught some of the other fabric in the seam. I'm gonna have to redo that. Some tasks might give your hands a rest. Oh yeah, sure. Oh, I'm really happy that that the sewing machine is helping you. Come on, come out. Let's fix this. I guess this is what you get when you're a bit hasty and a bit hungry. You screw things up. Alright, I think that should come out. Alright, attempt number 2. Let's do some more pinning. I can't see the lines here at all. Oh geez, I'm quite far off. Well, this will have to be improved in the real thing. A bit better on the other side. Just come out already. This old seam doing nothing for ya. Just break up. Okay. Okay, I think this will be the close enough version of the seam so that I can like poke my head through it and try it on before I go have dinner and really quit this time because it's just about 7. Better. All right. I give up on sewing. I'm done. So, let's. Hi. I'm gonna turn this outside out, and this is gonna have like exactly 1 shoulder, 1 sleeve. It's not ideal, and I will finish the rest of the mock-up and like try it on properly later. I just want to show off what it's become before I leave. I'm gonna need to cut into the center front a little bit to get my... Oh, I don't, because I don't need to get my head through, because the shoulder seam is still open. That's smart. So let's try to get into this. I can already tell it's a bit tight, so maybe I need to give myself a bit more width on the waist. So anyway, considering this is missing a shoulder, which I will just pin that onto my shirt or something. considering it's missing a shoulder, it's not so bad. That's actually looking quite... There's a bit of pointiness going on here where the dart ends, which I guess is to be expected, but it is ending sort of right on the edge of my shoulder. So that actually makes sense. I feel like this is not too bad looking. Like the angle of it with my arm like at a natural angle, it looks quite smooth. Ooh. Let's check out the back. Oops. There's a little bit of creasing here, which I guess is sort of to be expected, but maybe I can help. I guess does that go away if you give it a little bit of extra space here? Not bad though. I think it's actually the length right now. It's quite sort of to the edge of my hand, which once you poof it all up will end up somewhere like this, which I think is actually an adequate amount of space for a long cuff. This is really not bad. And the fit of the pintucks in the front is, I think, also pretty decent. There's a bit of pulling here, but that, once I cut into the center front of it, so I'm gonna need this to get my head in there anyway. It's gonna be properly finished at some point, but really not bad at all. I like the fit. Yeah, maybe deal a little bit with, there seems to be some extra here, and maybe it needs a little bit more space under the arm, but I'll have to try that on once it's actually complete and see how it moves when it's finished. But with that, I am gonna finally have my dinner. So I'm not really sure yet what next week's stream is gonna be. I'm trying to come up with something that isn't sewing, because there have been a lot of sewing streams recently. And I'm not quite sure what yet. I hope that by Friday this week I will at least upload, or I will create the YouTube event for it, and that will have in the title what it's going to be. Maybe I'll just end up finishing this or making the proper version for it. If not, it'll be something not sewing related. So I just want to say thanks everyone for hanging out with me today in my sewing room and dealing with my brain farts and my stress in putting this together, and for the advice and the company. So I'll hopefully see you next week, same time, etc. In any case, have a good week, and I'll see you later.